In 2013, I was earning over $215,000 a year in my sales job. Now, I worked a job at a large recruitment agency, which is essentially like a boiler room environment.
Oh my goodness, I have to delve into this particular one. And she called it Lions Don't Listen to Sheep. This is really amazing. I feel a lot of migrants can learn from this because it shifts your mindset. Guys, this is Money Confessions with Dr. Cynthia, where we talk about real money, real confessions, and real life stories that can change your lives. And without wasting time, let's get into this video.
Now, I worked a job at a large recruitment agency, which is essentially like a boiler room environment. It is just as toxic as you would imagine any of those movies to be, like Wolf of Wall Street.
Have you ever worked in a toxic environment before? Just write it in the comments. If you have never worked in such an environment, you don't know what God has done for you. Do you know what toxicity is? When people are just dragging, people are looking for how to blame you for things. There might be a mixture of some racism, a little bit of this and that. Yeah, it happens. But yeah, let's listen to her talk.
Pretty much minus eating goldfish live.
If you have ever watched The Wolf of Wall Street about swallowing the goldfish, you need to watch that movie to teach you a lot of things. Please watch that movie if you have not seen it to change your life. Definitely change your life.
Everybody knew that I was hauling in some big buckaroonies because the billing leagues are very clearly laid out there. So everyone knew I was making over 200,000. I was one out of thousands of people that were earning that kind of money because I was at the top 1 to 3 spots every single year at this company.
So it seems like it is one of those companies that pay you by commission. You have your basic salary, you're earning, and then if you bring more clients, you get a percentage in commission. If you've ever worked in such an environment, put it in the comments. I keep saying this because I feel like some of us need to structure our businesses in different ways. You can structure a business in such a way that anybody that brings more clients to you, the person gets rewarded. To make more people to make sales for you, refer people to you. You give a discount or you give the person reward in form of money. These are some of the things that people use in sales. If you want to excel in business, sales and marketing are the key things you need to learn. So she was making a lot of money, guys. $200,000 is a lot of money.
And at that point, I was still renting and living deep into Brooklyn in my rent hack, in which I rented a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I was the leaseholder. I rented out bedroom 1 and bedroom 2. I offset my costs because it's my lease and I can charge whatever I like for my furnished rooms.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. See, there are some people that feel so big, they don't want to get involved with things like renting hack. I know it's illegal in some countries, but this is one of the things that you need to learn. She had the leasehold for that particular building. She had a 3-bedroom, 2 baths. So she rented bedroom 1, bedroom 2. So it seems like she rented the biggest bedrooms. And these people were living with their landlords. Yeah. And she was living in an area that is not very posh. Very simple area. Yeah. She furnished the rooms. These people were paying her. And yeah, this story is getting interesting.
And I was able to decrease my cost of living. Now, because I lived in this part of New York called Borough Park / Sunset Park, that's not a sexy area. At no point would you ever hear of anyone moving to Manhattan being like, yeah, that's where we want to be. It's not a sexy area. Basically, it's Orthodox Jewish area, Chinese immigrant area, and Mexican immigrant area. It is for people that are living on the outskirts of society. It's not where the young yuppies go, right? It's not where like the young professionals are swarming to. It is no Williamsburg.
You can see that she chose an environment that she can afford the leasehold. And that place is not posh. It's not one of those areas that everybody loves to live in. It's not the best areas. The way she describes it, there are parts of London, of Birmingham, Manchester. In fact, every city in the UK has an area that if you live there, you know that the house prices there are quite low. You know that environment is not really posh. In fact, I feel in every city in the world, in every state in the world, they have a part that people say, hey, if you live there, they'll look down on you. If you live this other area, they'll look up to you like, oh, you must be rich, you must be very, very wealthy. So this is what she's describing, that the area she lived in Manhattan is not a posh area. It's that area where people look down on anybody that comes out from that part. So it actually makes sense.
And everyone knew that this was going on. And I had one colleague, I'll never forget it. He would talk to me as if I was living in a dung hole. He was literally like, how could you live like this? Oh, the thought, just the thought. How could you live? How could you live? You're living in with roommates deep into Brooklyn. Like, how could you live? And he was like, I could never. And I had a lot of colleagues that would think like that. I was the first person to retire at 28 from that entire cohort of colleagues. I was the first person out of my entire company to set up my own business because I lived like that while they were spending $2,000 to $4,000 a month on rent when I was spending about $400 on rent. Just imagine the compounding of what that means.
Many people look down on her. As in, like, colleagues were like, oh, how could you live? Like, I can never. I prefer my comfortable life. But she was able to retire at the age of 28. You see the difference? When I talk to any of my clients who are single, the approach I use for them is quite different from people who are married, who have kids. You have to be careful. You want to protect your kids. But when you're single, you use that life to the maximum. You can save a lot of money. You can change your financial history that you don't need to put an extra pound to your money, and you will retire well because of compounding.
Them overspending and me underspending. So the message to you is live your life. Don't worry about what other people think or say, because at the end, whoever's laughing last laughs the hardest. Becoming rich is actually really simple. As a self-made millionaire by the time I was 30, I found the best way to do it is to essentially just do what everyone else isn't doing. When everyone else is upgrading their lifestyle because their income grows, don't do that. When other people are renting $4,000 a month rentals, don't do it. Live with roommates and rent pretty much and live for free, like I was, rent hacking. When everyone is buying expensive primary homes because they finally can afford the mortgage, don't do it, because that is a trap that traps a lot of your extra money, a big part of people's net worth, into a down payment, and then they're stuck being house poor. So don't do it. When people are going crazy, throwing money at stocks or Bitcoin because Bitcoin is now at 110 and they're putting in all their assets into Bitcoin, don't do it. Wait till it drops. Wait till it gets lower. When people are irrationally exuberant and are rushing towards propping up the value of things, don't get swept up in the hype. In other words, don't let your ego get in your way. So often people lose money because they use their ego to compare with their friends. Oh, so if my friend gets an MBA, I should go get an MBA. Oh, if my friend has a new BMW, I should get a Mercedes. Like, all of this is a trap. And that's why the majority of people are not rich, because they're so busy using ego as a driver to their financial decisions that have humongous lasting consequences, instead of using their brain and sitting down and really understanding these financial instruments, these financial debts that you're signing yourself up for, these financial commitments that are now going to have lasting consequences. People don't want to think about those things. They want the short-term gratification of, well, look, I just got this Louis Vuitton bag because me and my girls, we're going to a trip in Mexico and I can't wait to flex. It's all of that flexing that keeps people poor. And that's why the majority of people, even if they make $200,000 to $300,000 a year as a household, are still net worth poor. It's because they have really high living expenses. So again, being rich is very simple. Just don't do what everyone else is doing. If you see everyone else doing it, think twice and maybe don't do what they do, because whatever they're doing is making them the 99%.